Middle Saturday night. We in the spot. Come. Okay, here we go. Saturday night. A rare Saturday night show, John. But we are here. Powered by football and TITO'S and excitement and Saturday and everybody waiting in the chat and everybody listening later on the podcast and everybody watching live on the tube.
You feel like we're cooking the books a little bit. We're working on Saturday, but we get Sunday off. We're usually Sunday workers and don't do as much on Saturday. So it just
we don't get time and a half.
You know, we're weekend guys.
Tomorrow is Sunday, John. Last chance to go to church before the season starts.
That's true. It felt very football-y today, I'm not going to lie. Like, I wouldn't quite say NFL Sunday, but it was much closer than last week. Promise you that much.
Yeah, did you feel that like first thing in the morning, start double check the schedule, and then you realize almost every game didn't start until
1 o'clock
evening? Like
yeah, and 4
evening.
Yeah. So weird start times. I locked into the Bears game, a little too much Dalton. And then I had a lot of downtime between the Niner game. And then even during that downtime, though, then all of a sudden Trevor Lawrence and Stefanski come on my TV. I'm like, I got an hour and a half to kill. I got a football on. That made it easier. I think that 4 to 5:30 window.
Yeah.
I could fill it with Urban Meyer.
Some Minshew.
Trevor Lawrence. A little too much.
I got some Mariota accuracy vibes from Trevor Lawrence today, but I only saw one throw. So it was that one throw was just a guy open in the flat, too high. I just went,
He made a couple good throws.
Generational talent, that's what they tell me. So
yeah, I wouldn't make too much of the one throw. I got some Dave Gettleman vibes from Balky and Urban with taking a running back in the first round when you have multiple running backs on the team. Like, what the hell are you guys doing?
Yep, I'm with you. A little weird.
A little weird.
Thanks to everybody who was waiting in the chat. There was some disagreement. There was some arguing going on in the chat, John, about whether we were late or not. If we never set a time, you can never be late. We said when Trey Lance is done, we're here. So Trey Lance, for those of you listening on the podcast, Saturday night, Trey Lance is out. Rosen's in. You just alerted me Chargers-Rams are on NFL Network, so that's on the TV. And here we are.
I've officially also changed the 49er game. I'm sorry, Josh. Even though I thought you were going to be a good NFL quarterback, I know that Kyle Shanahan doesn't view you as one, so I'm out on you as well as him. He just needs to finish the game.
XOR1111 on YouTube says Richie James generational dropper.
Yeah, there were some drop balls.
He was dropping passes in camp as well.
Yes, not his best night or River I am Rivercraft.
A river runs through it, Craycraft. Somebody did an article about Chris Berman's nicknames the other day.
That a river runs through it. He'd have to be a good player though to get a nickname, right?
Yeah, don't call me Philip River Craycraft. How about that
one?
Yeah,
you don't get nicknamed when you stink.
Chargers-Rams backup fest, neither team playing anybody. Well, we know. I mean, the beauty of Sean McVay is he tells you exactly what he's going to do.
A lot of backups, guy. A lot of backups in games today, just in general.
Michael Nielsen on YouTube says, I'm here for all the Fields talk. There will be Justin Fields talk.
It's coming, baby.
It is coming. Absolutely.
It is coming. Happy TITO'S Saturday.
Happy TITO'S Saturday, everybody. John, I got my TITO'S handmade vodka. Mason jar with a handle on it that our guy Devin gave us. This show, everybody, the comments. We got so many comments to catch up on. We got so much to get to. Obviously, we're going to talk about Trey Lance tonight. Maybe you guys heard. Before we go any further, let's tell you about our friends who present this show. TITO'S handmade vodka, John. While you dive into some of the details, I'm actually going to make a little TITO'S right here, an infusion, if you will.
Yeah, you know what, guy?
Huh?
We're gonna call TITO'S this week the TITO'S Transfusion Week.
Oh, I said
that
infusion.
Is going to be
transfusion.
Yeah, it's going to be the official drink of the week, a TITO'S Transfusion. Ice. I myself have a TITO'S and LaCroix, a TITO'S and LaCroix. TITO'S, American made, Austin, Texas. No big deal. Tito Beverage is the name of the guy that started it. Horns up. Gluten-free, no big deal. #1 vodka in America. TITO'S Transfusion. Here's what you put in. You put in some TITO'S handmade vodka. Guy's going to put in 1 ounce of grape juice. He's going to eyeball it. He's going to take some TITO'S out of his fifth. He's also somewhere there has a little ginger ale, something they love to give you on the airplanes, and a 1/4 ounce of lime juice. My drink, Tito's and LaCroix.
Oh.
LaCroix. You guys big LaCroix drinkers at the
No.
Haberman household?
No.
Yeah, I'm not either. Only from my cocktails, and they're fantastic. So, still making it.
John, this is actually from.
Oh,
I
little
recommend
ginger.
this ginger beer, everybody. From it reads it's from Trader Joe's, the original place that carried Tito's here on the West Coast. Add that.
Okay.
I would
Yeah,
not
then
have
add a
thought
li-
grape juice and
Oh!
a little lime.
I'll get a little lime. A little lime. So we got Tito's Handmade Vodka. We got 2 ounces of ginger ale. We got a little grape juice. We got a little lime juice. And then we got the Tito's Transfusion, the drink of the week. Golf starts this week. Top 125. You see Ricky Fowler, first time in his career, missed it. He's at home. No big
I did
deal.
not see that.
Trey Lance,
that is
not
good.
at home.
I
on
would
the
not
Niners.
have thought grape juice, John. And I've not had grape juice since 1998, and that's good.
That looks like a good drink. That
is a
looks
good
like a
drink.
good drink.
All right.
This podcast brought to you by Tito's.
Thank you, Tito's. Thank you, everybody. Keep sending us your photos of Tito's, everybody, by the way. People are sending us Tito's drinks, and we appreciate you sending us our photos of your Tito's. And don't forget, everybody, get in the mailbag, the Haberman and Middlekauff mailbag this week. I'm sure it'll be a big one. And leave a review on iTunes to do that. Tell us your favorite bar to hang at. And leave a question for the mailbag. All right, man, the comments are popping off. I want to get to some of those. But should we just start with the thing that we just want to start with? Dive right in. We're going to talk about the quarterback competition in a moment, Trey versus Jimmy, but let's just start even on a more basic level. Mike McDaniel, the Niners offensive coordinator, said this week it's the first time Trey Lance is ever going to be in a stadium with fans hearing plays in a headset. He's never done that before. So what did you think of just watching the guy, non-Photoshop, real NFL 49er uniform on him, step onto the field for the first time at Levi's on Saturday night?
Yeah, I mean, I just thought it was, like most people, a very cool moment. The anticipation was high. I was giddy all week, really, to watch this guy play in a game. Same with Justin Fields, who we'll get to later. And when he stepped on, I don't think he disappointed, right? They had a deep ball called the first play of the game. Kyle and Andy falls into this category too. They will poo-poo and say, we're just running our plays. We no game plan. And like, they knew what they were doing. And they tried to hit a deep bomb, the first pass of his unofficial NFL career. It wasn't there. He scrambles. He hits Brandon Ayuk, who's caught everything that you and I have seen, every practice we've been at. Not one ball has hit the ground. Hits his hands, hits the ground. That was kind of crazy. But then, what was it? I guess the second drive is when he hit the big touchdown to Sherfield. I mean, that's one of the plays of the weekend, I would say. Just a deep rollout. And I'm thinking this, that Jimmy Garoppolo and definitely Jared Goff, like that is a patented play in this offense, right? A deep play action to roll where you can stop. And it's just like, let it rip. Andy used to do that type play with Michael Vick, and you have Deshaun Jackson. And I just thought in my head, like, Jared Goff, he doesn't know what to do there. Jimmy might underthrow. Matt Stafford throws it. Patrick Mahomes throws it. Aaron Rodgers throws it. Trey Lance throws it.
Throws it, yeah. Looks for it, right? Wants it. Because he knows he can do it. And I think that's, maybe that's some of the familiarity with the offense and that he's comfortable in some of these play action situations, maybe more comfortable than a rookie would be. I don't know. I saw a little of Zach Wilson. I thought he looked pretty comfortable actually today. But
made some throws. Got to give him his credit.
Yeah, I mean, look, there were some people that thought Trey looked a little nervous. I thought he was, anytime you can run, anytime a quarterback has mobility, we talk about this balance between how much you want to run and how much you want to throw. Trey Lance looks to throw, and then he 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 might run a little, and while he's running, he's looking to throw, right? Like, if you watch some of Justin Fields, who we'll talk about later, he was looking to run. Trey Lance is going to run. But, I mean, he is – I think that was the number one thing for me just watching – just in terms of this part of it, just watching his mentality. He wants to push the ball down the field, and he does not look to run. And I think even a little bit maybe to his detriment tonight, he took 4 sacks. He's behind the second-team offensive line. That's a big part of it.
Took 4 sacks would be – I know what you're saying.
Got sacked 4 times. I wouldn't say it that way if I hadn't thought in practice. He took a few sacks too. Spun into a sack in the red zone when we watched him in red zone period at camp the other day. So I do think part of that, it's hard to assign exactly how much goes to each person. I think part of that is him holding onto the football to try and make a play with his arms. And, I think the running aspect of it will come. But I actually like the fact that he's constantly trying to make a play with his arms and not break out of the pocket, not run away, not pulling the ball down at the first opportunity.
I had a friend text me and asked, did you think Trey looked a little slow going from guy to guy, like in the pocket, 1 to 3? And I'd say relative to Jimmy, like I'd say one thing Jimmy hangs his hat on, he can go from the right side to the left side in warp speed, right?
And he can unload the ball very quickly.
So that Trey Lance does not have that yet. I am not going to nitpick him, just like I wouldn't on any rookie quarterback, to just be, at Jimmy's level doing that stuff. And I'm not looking for him to do that. I also think this. Preseason, and I learned this from Louis Riddick, you have to put it into context, right? Some of these plays are awesome. All these guys are making. But it's against random players, and sometimes they're disastrous plays. Right when they're scrambling around or a guy sacks them, like it's with a guy that's never going to see the field, at least early on in the NFL up front. So you're just you're not as sure. And then once you get hit, you start thinking, well, I know this guy is a starter. Is this guy going to get me killed? I'm not making excuses, but I'm just saying that it is a hard thing to judge, despite I thought what he showed, there would be some highs, there'll be some lows with any young quarterback. But his physical talent is beyond immense. And I think he pretty much fully displayed that. Beside, I guess they didn't run him at all when you think about it. None of the zone runs.
Right.
Which is something that every day you and I've been in practice.
To protect him or to hide the plays?
I think it's to hide it.
Because they're going to use the plays no matter who's the week one. Even if he's not the week one starter, they're going to use the plays.
Yeah, I mean, they had him under center. They had him just doing like normal Kyle Shanahan plays.
He almost threw a couple of picks. Or might have almost been 3. I don't have to go back to the GFF. We'll check Twitter later. But I think the Charlie Warner throw to me was another one that doesn't necessarily stand out like a couple of the others. The Ayuk drop or the Sherfield throw or the Craycraft drop, or the other Richie James drop. But it was what I've seen from him in camp, which is him doing the basic things like, okay, we need this basic throw. Are you going to be able to do if we drop the right play, are you going to be able to hit it? And the answer to that, I think, is yes. Yeah. And that's why I've been really impressed with him in camp. And what did we also say in camp? It's like the best play. You said this the other day. The highlight of 49ers camp to this point was a play he made after he should have been sacked on a throw to Sherfield a couple of weeks ago. Well, today, there's no should have been sacked. You get sacked or you don't get sacked. They're chasing you. So the plays he made today counted.
Yeah, listen, and if you go to twitter.com and you got Grant and Lombardi going back and forth, here's what I'd say to both of them. I don't feel either of your numbers mean that much to me. Because like you just said, I don't know what fucking counts or what does not in practice. This is what you can't argue about a preseason game. It's either he either gets the throw off or he gets sacked, right? There's a finality to the play. There's no like, 95 for the Chiefs. He tapped him on the butt and said, go finish this play.
Or that
and then
ball
in practice, everyone's marking.
Or their balls, he completed a ball in practice the other day that you said, that's a pick. The safety pulls up, doesn't even mess with a collision, right? In practice.
100%. So, that is the games, and the coaches harp on this all the time. Even though we, and I'm as guilty as anyone, make fun of these games, rip on them, just in terms of the level of play, they are a completely higher level of play than practice, right? Just in terms of making a throw with a safety. Yeah, it's I mean, a guy's just not going to stop. If Aaron Banks gets smoked, and I had an NFL exec text me, he's got slow feet. We didn't like him very much, which makes me a little nervous, and he looked like he had slow feet, and he can't beat out Brunskill, who's in the AAF. But if he gets smoked, like Trey doesn't get to just hit a deep bomb to, Richie drop it, but one of these guys. So you do kind of feel
Sherfield, John. Sherfield, that's who. Just use Sherfield.
Yeah, use Sherfield. But by then he wouldn't even be in the game.
Yeah, you protecting him because he might be your fourth receiver. Yeah. Him and Juwan Jennings. I mean, Juwan Jennings, another guy. Like, it's the other thing. Kyle kind of tells you what he's trying to do. When play calls tell you what a coach is trying to do, and he's not messing around with 3 reads and Jennings. He's getting bubble screens to Jennings to get him the football and see if he can make a play or two, right?
Yeah, I guess we'll get into him versus Jimmy here in a second, but there are things that he brings to the table. You have to be able to live with a young player, right? And I think this day and age of like I don't get as bothered by mistakes when it's talented guys. I just don't. I get bothered, like, to me, when I'm sitting on my couch, and I'm sure you did too because you text me, like when I see a River Craycraft drop, in my head, you might call me an asshole. I think I'd cut him tomorrow. Like, what's the point? And then Kyle was, well, we need guys to run practice. I'm like, you're right. But, like, if you told me they just relieved him of his duties tomorrow, like, I wouldn't complain. This is the National Football League where star players, when they fuck up, star young talents. I go, yeah, it's part of the deal. Learn through it.
Well, yeah, I mean, right, if you throw 13 picks and 7 touchdowns, you're out. If you threw 13 picks and 38 touchdowns, you're in.
But like Trey Lance, for example, if he started all 17 games, he would be liable to throw, and obviously Jimmy would too, but 15 interceptions. Or hell, a pick a game, average a pick a game. He could throw 17 touchdowns.
That's a lot of picks.
Do you think that would be out of the realm of possibility?
I don't think it'd be out of the realm of possibility. I agree with your premise. 17 is a ton for a team that's trying to be good and can run the football, and you hope is good on defense and can, you know what I mean? Like, so 17 is a lot. But yeah, I do think he.
Do you think the Niners quarterbacks throw 17 between the two of them? Throw 17 picks this year?
I think it might be close to that number.
Yeah,
because Garoppolo is liable to do it, and he doesn't give. Like, that's the point, right? And again, you take some of the good with it. The more good you get, the more bad you're willing to tolerate. It's very simple.
Yeah, and I guess that's my ultimate point with them. Like, I'm going to beat the drum until it's official, and it might not be official for 2 months, a month, who knows? But you have to accept, like, even once he starts playing, there is going to be some stupid ass shit that he does. Like, it's just, there are going to be plays that look terrible. There just are. That would happen with any player, right? I mean, Peyton Manning, I think, threw 20 picks or whatever his rookie year. Like, that's just part of the deal. And I'm not even just talking picks. I'm talking potentially like running out in a pocket, leaving the ball down low, getting it stripped, just little things that he could have some disastrous plays given the way he plays, right?
Yeah. But he could have some great plays. And so the question is, you know, is your team good enough to handle whatever rookie mistakes get made? And this is, I go back to what I said a couple of days ago about playing the Lions week 1, playing the Eagles week 2. Can you beat them just by making no mistakes? Can you beat the Lions week 1 just by not, like, hey, we don't throw any picks, we don't fumble the football, we don't do anything stupid on special teams, we're going to win this football game, right? I think the answer to that's probably yes.
I think the Eagles are probably a lot better than the Lions. They just have way better players.
Your quarterback is just is more dynamic. We know what you can do defensively against Goff.
Yeah, they have some really good tight ends. I mean, Devontae Smith will be there by then. Jalen Reagor's a talent from what I've heard in practice. Fletcher Cox is a motherfucker. They got Darius Slay. Like, they have more impact players than the Lions. Listen, I think the Eagles are like a 6-7 win team, but I mean, the Lions, I'm not going to put too much in their preseason game. Seriously, guy, they might win 2 games. they could be really bad. So I would just say, like,
no one's ever gone 1-16. Or 2-15. 2-15. Nope. No one's ever done 2-15, John.
that is true.
I thought it looked.
You do get it. You got to get your feet under you against whoever you play, and it is easier to get your feet under you against the Lions than it would be the Packers or the Rams, right?
Yeah. This is why, like, my attitude coming out, and you and I have been talking about Trey Lance. People who've been listening or watching us for a few weeks. Know that we came back from the first camp we saw him, first OTA, but especially the first camp, and said, this guy could be your quarterback this year, and he might be your quarterback week 1. To me, if Kyle Shanahan appeared in the chat right now, and was like, what should I do, fellas? I'd say, let's just call it a competition now, because I want to see him with George Kittle. Right? I want to see him with now maybe Kittle doesn't play. I want to see him with a first-team offensive line, or your version of it. Trent Williams didn't start tonight at left tackle. But let's give him a shot. Because I think there's a misconception.
So would you start him in one of these preseason games?
I would just, I'd either start him or I'd leave the other guys in. But if it's a competition, that means he might start.
Yeah.
You only get 3 of them, and the third one's going to be your dress rehearsal, right? But I would treat him like it's a competition moving forward because I think there's a misconception. And I thought this going into the draft, there was a misconception that Kyle Shanahan would play it safe. But Kyle Shanahan, it's not his nature. He's not a play it safe guy. And I think there's a misconception right now that Kyle, if he could choose, would choose Jimmy to be his quarterback.
I agree. I think that is the perception by you, me, and just by a lot of random fans.
And I think that's a misconception.
Yes.
I don't think Kyle, if we said, Kyle, what do you want to happen? I don't think Kyle would say, I want Jimmy to be the guy. Kyle would say, I want Trey Lance to be the guy. How do we know that? Well, he drafted him third. He believes in him. And the other reason I think that is what he did to start the game. Like, if he had any fear of media momentum, fan momentum, social media momentum, teammate momentum, getting in the way of this perceived plan to install Jimmy and rig it so Jimmy can be the starter, then he would have the choice to not set Trey Lance up to hit a bomb on the first play of the game, which is what he tried to do.
He would first, second down run the ball, right?
He set Trey Lance up to hit a home run from the jump, and one of those moments where they're running down the field like this,
yeah.
right? So
he wanted it. He wanted
it because in his heart of hearts, that's what Kyle is. Kyle, for being the tough guy who wants to run the rock, is also a style guy. He's a flat brim, backward hat, Yeezys, joggers, and let's do some sweet shit out here, guy. And let's punch people in the face with it.
Tall, skinny, rich guys usually are.
So that's what he's here. I don't think in his head he's trying to rig it for Jimmy. I do not think that.
I agree. I would agree with you. I think you're on to something with it's a misconception. I would just be fascinated how comfortable he is. Just a couple things like tonight, like in a game situation where he's like, if I start Trey Lance, because here's the thing. If you start Trey Lance, you want to just dive into him versus Jimmy?
Yeah, this is it. We're in.
Okay. If you start Trey Lance, which I am for, my philosophical belief, Trevor Lawrence, I mean, it's easy with Zach Wilson and Trevor Lawrence. But Justin Fields, Trey Lance, over the years with all these guys, and we've seen a ton of them come in, right? The last 4 or 5, I bet if we added it up, there's been more quarterbacks like the last 3 years go in the first round. I mean, the multiple years have had 5. That's 10. And then another year had like 4. We got a lot.
And a lot of them played.
All of them have played. A lot,
Baker,
and a lot of them started from week 1.
Herbert, even if keep going.
But for a lot of those guys, if you were down, it didn't matter if you were playing the Lions, the Sacramento Mountain Lions, or the New England Patriots. If that guy, and you started him week 1, had 2 picks and you're down at halftime, it's like, it sucks, don't get me wrong, but you're not like going to take him out of the game. What if you were down 14-7 to the Lions at halftime and he had thrown 2 picks and a pick 6? Like, listen, I'd be the first to say you got to live and die with it, but I'd understand, like, Kyle, like, fuck this. I ain't losing the Lions.
You said if you went to Garoppolo? Yeah.
So that is part of the problem. Like, it doesn't get – I think there's a decent chance the Lions are the worst team in the league. I think the Jags are going to be pretty terrible, but, like, their quarterback's better than Jared Goff. They could just make more plays. What if you were down at halftime? Just something like, it's easy for me to say. And listen, I would start him, but that is a scenario that Kyle has to talk about. Like, can you just start yanking him, mess with his confidence? Or you could argue, doesn't even matter. There's the pros. He's clearly going to be our guy. We're just going to live and die with it. Because you could argue you treat it like a platoon situation in baseball. Like, he'll figure it out big picture. It's not even that big a deal. It's more if Jimmy can handle it, but Trey, like, he'll be fine.
Well, what did John Lynch say in his interview today with Tim Ryan?
Jimmy's the best arm talent in the league?
With the glorious mane of Tim Ryan and Greg Papa, who also has great hair, but next to Tim Ryan, it's like...
No, he looks like me next to Tim Ryan.
He said, what did he say? He said, Jimmy loves to compete. So the beauty of the scenario you're drawing up is there's 2 preseason games between now and that scenario. Like, you can have a competition between then and then make the decision about who starts against the Lions. Well, I'm just saying I think that we should have that now.
Well, to me then, Guy, you have this week coming up against the Chargers.
Yeah.
And when they roll out Derwin James and some of their legit starters on defense, it can't just be Jimmy. Like, you have to see him versus those guys. Like, I want to see Trey, if I'm Kyle Shanahan and John Lynch, get live reps on those guys in the practices. Because normally your ones would just go against Chargers. Ones would be very normal, right? I got to cook the books a little bit on that one. And luckily he kind of has. But I think you really got to push the envelope. Because like you said, I watched Jimmy with some of the Niners pregame with Vern Glenn. I do think Jimmy's being genuine. He's like, Trey's been cool. And he basically alluded to, he could have come in 3rd pick entitled or whatever, and it hasn't been like that at all. Like, I've enjoyed being around him. Like, I know a lot of people are making this big deal about it, but it's been good. Like, I think Trey's pretty likable, and Jimmy is the guy's guy, and maybe they just kind of like each other. I don't it would be human nature. Like if me and you were just competing, there was just one microphone and whoever got it, the other guys had to sit on the sideline, right? It'd be human nature. There is competition there. But maybe it helps Jimmy make so much money that he knows big picture it's going to be okay as long as he just keeps playing well, that I do think you can kind of move past it. I'm sure he's had some – Belichick's probably texted him some words of encouragement. It's probably easier to, compartmentalize everything. He's just an older player, right? He's not – if he was a third-year guy, I think we see it happen sometimes. Like, let's just use this example. The way Gardner Minshew has handled Trevor Lawrence has not sounded the same way that Jimmy is handled. And I'm not comparing the two players, but Gardner just says some stupid shit. You're like, Gardner, I mean, calm down. Jimmy just doesn't come off like that. So you could argue you might be able to mold this situation any way you feel fit. Like if you in a game you want to give Trey back-to-back series, you can do whatever you want.
Yeah.
Which is not ideal because
but it's part of paying. You're paying a guy $25 million in the case of Garoppolo, right? You can't really say anything. I guess you could, but you're right. It's not in his nature, nor is it in his upbringing, his football upbringing. Yeah. And it's clearly not in Trey's upbringing, right? You and I talked the other day about Trey Lance's press conference, where it was just a whole lot of, I just love my teammates. Oh, George Kittle, he's talented.
You think it helps that both guys, I mean, they're really, their root is Northern Illinois and North Dakota State. No one really blows you like you're starting quarterback at Texas or Alabama.
And I think their default personality is teammate. Their default is just be a good teammate, right? Their default is not, I need to be the – I would imagine their default is not be a good teammate. Let me rephrase. Their default is I'm not the life of the party guy. They're probably not, when there's 5 guys hanging out, friends, neither one of those guys has to be the one getting all the attention, right? Yeah. So I think in that way you're right. Yeah, I mean, I think there is something to that.
Before Kittle comes in.
Yeah, I mean, but that's fine. You need all kinds. Yeah. It's just it'd be hard if one of them maybe was more that way or but to your point on the colleges, they're both guys. Who was it? Oh, it was – did you tweet this? The Bills Dan Graziano wrote a thing about the Bills the other day.
Yeah, it was pretty sweet.
Brian Dable – was it Brian Dable, the offensive coordinator, that did it?
Yeah.
And said to the whole – for those of you who didn't see it, he gets up in a meeting room and he said what was it? Who here is
starts with the coaches. He goes, anyone in here not been fired, sit down.
Or
he tells the whole room to stand up. Anyone in here not been fired, sit down. Every coach sits down. Anyone here not been cut or traded, everyone sits down.
Even though Mitchell Trubisky technically was just not contract renewed, but yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And then there was one guy standing up, and it was Josh Allen. Oh, because he said, everyone stand up who's not a first-round pick that hasn't been cut or traded. Well, Trubisky was a first-round pick, but he was essentially cut.
Sat, yeah.
And Josh Allen was the lone guy standing in the room with all the players, including the coaches. And he said, Josh, how many college scholarship offers? And he said, none.
Yeah, coming out of high school. Yeah.
And his message was never forget where you come from. And I was like, damn, that is an incredible story.
Great message.
That feels very that. Is that a Saban Belichick thing that he picked up?
It could be. Although I don't know how Saban would do that.
Yeah, you're right. It'd be a Belichick thing.
Anybody who was not a 5-star, sit down.
You're right. Saban, that'd be impossible. He can do it with the coaches because he hires a lot of fired guys.
Yeah, that's true. But, yeah, I mean, I just think this situation, whether you think Trey should be the starter, whether you think Jimmy should be the starter, let's compromise here and say, at minimum, this should be a competition, though. Let's make it it has been a competition. If practice is about competing, then it's already been a competition. Unofficially, Garoppolo's getting a lot of opportunities with the ones, but make it a competition. And if Garoppolo is the starter, then if he wins the job, he wins the job. But I don't think Shanahan has an interest in rigging it for Garoppolo. I do think he and Mike McDaniel legitimately just want to make sure Trey Lance is ready for it. I think because of the situation
I think there's a big week with the Chargers. Just those practices leading into the game. It's one thing I feel just watching a couple preseason games, it's clear it felt like most of the preseason games this week, a lot of the teams joint practiced, and there's a carried on conversation from the week that leads into the game. And maybe part of it too is the broadcasters all work for the team, so they've been at practices and they know it's like one big momentum. And I think the number one story for Chargers 49ers is going to be, obviously Herbert is one of the biggest stories in the league, but the Niners quarterback situation truly is. Because Kyle kind of has, but he didn't go as far as Nagy. Like, no matter what, Dalton's going to be the #1 quarterback week 1. Yeah. He just said, like, Jimmy's our starting quarterback. But then, like, things like tonight happen. He makes that throw, and you just go, God, I don't know, man. But Jimmy just has the experience, and I still lean as we sit here today after they're both there. I mean, Jimmy didn't even have a performance. He got a drive.
He had four air yards, I think is what Josh Dubow wrote. Three of three, 4 air yards.
My confidence level, Jimmy starting week 1, probably was like 80-20 a week and a half ago. It's moved to 70-30, and right now it's like 65-35, but I think it's going to be hard for it to get to 50-50. There's going to need to be a couple moments.
Yeah, which he had a couple tonight, but it wasn't.
And that's where he gained a little steam. He had a moment.
He had some moments, but then it also kind of, there were more opportunities for moments, 60 seconds or whatever it was on the clock, 2 timeouts. Here we go. Can you get down the field? And it's like, oh, right.
Yeah, he does enough for Kyle to say with a straight face, like, yeah, I mean, he could have thrown multiple picks. That would be a problem, right? Without hesitation.
Right. But that's part of the deal, and this is where we go back to Garoppolo. It has not just been another misconception, or I think this gets repeated because it gets said, and then it just gets repeated and regurgitated. It's just an availability issue with Jimmy. It has not just been an availability issue with Garoppolo. Right. It also is, well, is he going to make mistakes? Is he going to turn the ball over? Is he going to – it's not just about injury. So, I mean, are you guaranteed to not be down 14-7 at the half against the Lions if Garoppolo's the starting quarterback?
Well, in my limited Jimmy note-taking here, I have Debo. He hits him on a first down.
Yep.
He throws it behind him. And throwing it behind him makes him stop, and then he jukes out the guy. But if he hits him in stride, the guy probably tackles him. And then there's another ball with Ayuk over the middle.
So maybe he did it on purpose, John.
Or do you think he did? Do you remember that play?
I do remember the play. I'd have to go back and watch it to decide.
Then there's a play to the fullback who somehow you and I are Fresno State guys in the house or that we don't know there's a Fresno State guy on the 49ers. And not that it was a terrible throw, but it's just Jimmy is not pinpoint. Like he has to slow down a little bit to reach all the way up instead of just hitting a guy in stride. Like for a guy who's not mobile, who doesn't have a huge explosive arm, it's not like, well, Jimmy's pinpoint. It's like, well, he's a little – I wouldn't call him like shotgun scatter shot, but, he's not like some Navy SEAL with a pistol in his hand. Like the guy's probably going to – he's going to miss a decent amount of times too. So that's where Jimmy playing a whole game, like Jimmy's just liable to throw a couple picks. Yeah, that's the thing. Like you always resort back to, like you've been hammering home, Jimmy is not some just fail-safe – perfect, like, worst case scenario, we'll just go 12 of 15. Just be, nitpick them to death, for 200 yards and run the ball. Like, yeah, I mean, those 3 or 4 passes could hold you on for your ass.
Well, what's funny is like noted Giants fan Alex Smith, who was at the Giants game on Friday night.
He moved back to the Bay Area.
Well, I know he just built a big home. Buddy of mine told me down in Wood. It's just north
Woodside?
of Palo Alto. Woodside, is that where it is?
Yeah.
Yeah. Apparently, he's building go to his
Spot Track. He's made some money in his career.
His year. His years in Kansas, his 2 best years in Kansas City, 67.5%. If I told you what were Jimmy's 2019 16 games, 2020 completion percentage, what would you guess? What would you guess? Let's say last year, 6 games. What do you think he was?
61.
He was 67, but it's not the same 67% as Alex Smith's 67, right? Where it was always like Alex never takes any chances. Alex never does anything risky. But Alex was, I feel, more accurate than Jimmy was, even though the numbers don't necessarily reflect that.
Alex Smith was definitely more accurate than Jimmy.
At least less. I don't want to say risk averse because Jimmy is. It's weird. He's kind of risk averse, but he does do some things outside of the script that feel a little risky sometimes.
I would say Jimmy's more. I would say Jimmy's more of a playmaker than Alex. Alex may coaches. By the time Alex became who he became, you feel more comfortable going into a game with Alex. Yes.
David on YouTube says I'd take late career Alex Smith. Agreed.
I would too. So would Andy Reid, and so would Kyle Shanahan.
Yeah. By the way, here's another way to talk about quarterbacks today, John. Take a look at this. Who are the starting quarterbacks Week 8, when the 49ers visit the Chicago Bears in this NFL season. That is that's going to be October. Oh, it's going to be on Halloween, Sunday, October 31st. Niners at Bears. Who do you think the starting quarterbacks are?
Trey Lance and Justin Fields.
Yeah, I think so too.
We talked about it leading into this weekend. And listen, I don't think like Trey Lance had one of those throwback plays, and you would have thought Twitter saw UFO. It's like, oh my God! It's like, guys,
is that the best play in football? By the way,
it is an unreal play, and it's an Andy Reid special. Nagy has it. Kyle, they all have it, but like Case Keenum is it right? Josh Rosen, if the play is there, but to me, it was more about both these two guys. And we've been saying I think people underestimate Justin Fields is a 4.4 flat guy. Like he can fly. I was thinking today there are two faster quarterbacks than him. I would say Lamar is basically 4.30. That's what I would give or take. I would put Kyler Murray in the mid 4 to high 4.3s, hauling ass. Justin Fields is probably the third fastest quarterback. Like people like Deshaun Watson. I Googled today his combine speed, 4.66. And Deshaun Watson's viewed as a fast guy, 4.66. You know, I bet Trey Lance, when it's all said and done, probably in the NFL's close as he gets bigger, closer to 4.6. 4.6 is fast. You know, forever, like starting middle linebackers in the league were 4.6. Those guys, Justin Fields is going to hit so many sweet plays running. Like Trey Lance is really going to be, I think he's going to hang his hat on being a short yardage runner, but being a passer. To me, Justin Fields is going to be a little closer to like Lamar. He's different, Lamar, like Kyler Murray. But
Josh Allen?
Type. Yeah, but I think he's going to run a lot.
You think he's going to run like Kyler? I mean, Josh pulls it down. Allen.
His speed is elite. You can't catch him. And he can run. He split some guys today. Like those guys, I don't remember two young guys that more than likely are not going to start, that everyone is just – those two fan bases, and the Forbes did the list this week. The Niners, I think, were 5. The Bears were like 7 of the two of the for most expensive franchises, right? The however many billion, the valuations. Those two fan bases right now are licking their lips, the fans, for these two players.
Forbes should just, instead of doing the valuations, they should just go to Bezos and be like, rank these teams how you want them and how much you'd pay for each one.
That's a good way to do it. So I just think these two guys are the intriguing humans right now in the league. And it might be as simple as both of them aren't necessarily viewed yet as starters, so it adds some it's like trying to get a date. She keeps saying no. It's like, well, eventually she's going to go out with me. Part of that, then you go out and maybe you don't like her. But there is something to there's like a chase right now. There's an element with those two players. I feel they're in their own little group. Don't you?
Yeah, because they're different than Trevor Lawrence. They're different than Zach Wilson, right?
And I just don't think that many people care about Mac Jones.
I mean, I'm interested in him.
I am too, but I mean, he doesn't have the same intrigue from a physical standpoint as those guys, right?
Yeah, the thing that's confusing about the Bears is like they, as a staff, Nagy and maybe Ryan Pace too, like they actually have some pressure on them. They have some incentive to get Justin Fields in there. Now, ultimately, their number one goal is to win football games. Like winning will do more than anything else that they can do.
Yes.
And maybe they feel some obligation because they promised it to Andy Dalton. And maybe they just don't want to give it to Justin Fields. I'd have to look at the Bears' early season schedule.
Rams
week 1. That's week 1.
That's Sunday Night Football. So it'd be a lot to put on them.
Bengals week 2. Browns week 3 on the road. That's not easy. Lions week 4. At the Raiders, Packers. I mean, there's no such thing really as a soft landing in the NFL. But I'm with you. By week 8?
The problem, though, Guy, is if that's the way you look at it, and I'm not saying you do, but I think the Bears kind of do, what if you're 3-4 going into that game? And then all of a sudden it's like, this guy's going to save us.
Must-win game.
And then he loses, and all of a sudden you're 3-5.
I mean, John.
Where to me, you just get to, you get to work through it.
But here's the deal. Andy Dalton last year was 45%, 14 touchdowns, 8 picks. The year before, he was 59.5%, 16 touchdowns, 14 picks. The year before, he was 61.9%, 21 touchdowns, 11 interceptions. Is he keeping Justin Fields on the bench for 2 months?
I've had a buddy who evaluated him as a pro scout very closely the last several years and thought he was shot 2 years ago. Thought that the year that the Cowboys signed him, and really his money spoke for itself. The Cowboys, remember, gave him like $2 million, and everyone's like, oh, my God, steal. And then, like you said, he threw some touchdowns, but at 45%, he's not that good. Somehow, the Bears gave him $10 million. How could you go from making $3 million to then, and I get you were kind of desperate, but be bad and then triple your money? In any other walk of life, yeah, it shows you.
The Bears didn't have Justin Fields when they did that signing.
If they would have had Justin Fields, no chance they pay him $10 million. Maybe they still sign him, but he's getting 4 max.
Jared on YouTube says, Fields was bad today. Nobody here watched it, LOL. I got a text from a buddy who played in the league, and he basically said, like, this Bears offense looks terrible. That was pre-Fields, but
they were bad before. And Fields was bad the first couple snaps he got in there too. Again, preseason, I don't look at the results. I just look at the talent. I evaluate guys like I do a draft prospect when it comes to young players. And Fields, his talent is remarkable. Trey Lance, his talent is remarkable. Can I live with some of the shitty? Yes, because they are elite. You know, if they weren't, I couldn't live with it. Like Mac Jones, I will give him some credit. A little bit, the 2 drives I watched, looks pretty normal. But that's just what he's always going to be. I don't think Mac Jones is going to look that much different right now than he will in 5 years. Like Mac Jones right now could probably run the Patriots offense. What my buddy who texted me, like, why does Trey Lance look like he's getting slow to go through his reads? Mac Jones, like, it's like, well, that's the only thing he can do. I mean,
he better get rid of it because his arm's not making up for it.
No, and he can't move if a guy smokes one of the guards. So to me, you have to look at preseason like you're evaluating a draft prospect, the physical attributes. Now that's where coaches push back, right? Because they're running our offense, you got to execute it, and it's kind of the tug and pull.
The question is very simple: can Andy Dalton win the Bears enough football games to keep Justin Fields on the bench because of what you just said? Because then the conversation is not, can Justin Fields win us games? The question is then, what are we waiting for if we're just waiting for Andy Dalton? So I just think it's unlikely that 7-8 weeks into the season, Andy Dalton is still their quarterback because I think they're going to have problems.
Yeah, I would say the major difference, too, between the Niners and the Bears, there is not a Bears fan alive beside maybe some people in Dalton's family who are now just they're into the Bears fandom. They're not true Bears fans that want to see Andy Dalton play a snap. I think it's the Niners. Obviously, people want to see Trey Lance, but if you say Jimmy Garoppolo is a starting quarterback, people will suck it up for a minute if it works, right?
Yeah.
I don't think people, even if
if it doesn't work, he's not going to last.
100%. Even if Andy Dalton, like they win a couple games, no one's going to want to see Andy Dalton. Andy Dalton's in a shitty position from a fan standpoint.
Yeah, it's like at 2-0 you don't, but at 3-0, at 4-0, at 5-1, at 6-2, you go, all right, well, we've sucked, so we'll take it. You know.
Sucked would be strong. Made the playoffs.
That's true. They actually have a sneaky better than you think. That's true. It's felt worse. There you go. Bold brotherhood.
He gets a rap like he's really shitty, but he's been in the playoffs 2 or 3 years.
Brotherhood.
Just protecting my guy. Yeah, you know?
I understand, but it doesn't change the fact that there is pressure on that.
There is pressure.
Organization. Yeah. Although I heard somebody say the other day, like, Ryan Pace is better drafted than people think. It's just the Mitchell Trubisky thing has been pretty bad.
Actually, he's drafted pretty well and made a good trade for Khalil Mack.
Yeah, so maybe. Well, the problem is that they've wasted Khalil Mack to this point, kind of.
Very true. Yeah.
You would think like one team gets a generational pass rusher, the other team gets a bunch of ones, and it turned out to be a lose-lose. How did that work out?
I don't know.
How did the Bears and Raiders pull that off?
At least the Bears have. We've played January football twice. You guys haven't sniffed it. Khalil's been to the playoffs 3 times, double the amount with the Bears. Right? That's just a fact.
Twice with the Bears. Yeah, twice with the Bears. I understand.
Yeah.
Anyway, all right, week 8, everybody. Circle that bad boy. By the way, while you're here, if you're watching on YouTube, we would appreciate if you like the video. That helps us out. So just hit that thumbs up button. Subscribe if you aren't. Bell if you gong the bell. But just like that video. Okay, John, before we get any further, let's tell the people about our friends at DraftKings. This is it's time. It is time. We are heating back up with DraftKings, Middlekauff. DraftKings, promo code HAM.
Yep, football's almost here, and there's no better place to get in on the action with DraftKings, the leader in one-day fantasy sports. DraftKings is your one-stop shop to make it rain all season long. It's simple. You just pick your lineup, stay under the salary cap, see how your team stacks up. You and I are going to be playing weekly, daily fantasy for the NFL. Maybe we get a golf game going this week. I think the playoffs starts at 125. We'll get a golf game going. Then we'll have 3 golf games leading up to week 1 of the NFL season. I've already got some names in the back of my head for who I'm going to put on my week 1 roster. It's going to be hard because there's a lot of names, a lot of competition. But and you predict, it's very easy. Unlike Haberman, who drafted for his wife and took Le'Veon Bell, and then Le'Veon Bell never played.
Auto draft.
Yeah, that's what he tells everyone. But you never get in that predicament ever, right, in daily fantasy. So you could have your play. You take whoever, he tears his ACL in the 3rd play of the game. That sucks for that week. You have to take him the next week. Can't beat it.
I saw somebody post a photo today of their draft, and some dude took Cam Akers in the 2nd round. How is that possible? How can that happen?
Auto. I don't know. That's not fair.
Like there should be a sportsmanship rule where somebody steps in and says, "Hey, man, look, I don't want to win like this."
What? How is that even an option?
I don't know. Maybe there shouldn't be a sportsmanship rule if you're that stupid.
Yeah, I'm with you. Sometimes people have to do stuff like family gathering and someone auto drafts for them. That's unfair. I'm with you.
There's no way. Auto draft wouldn't let you draft him. There's no way.
Wouldn't that be a little high? Would that be a little high for Cam Akers?
Yeah,
even if he was fully healthy?
also good point. By the way, you mentioned the DraftKings, John. Do you know who's second in the FedEx Cup season standings right now? Do you know the top? Can you name the top 5?
Yeah, Rom, Morikawa are definitely top. Kokrak up there.
Morikawa's 1. Rom is 5.
Hideki.
No, Hideki's 14.
I don't know.
Spieth is 2.
Oh my God. Who's 3?
Cantlay.
What the hell's he done?
And Harris English. 2 wins and 5 top 10s for Cantlay.
Who's like 6, 7?
Cantlay always has the 2nd most ownership in any of our DraftKings games. It's crazy.
Well, he does finish high a lot, but he never wins. That's Spieth. God, Spieth going to win the $15 million this year?
Comeback player of the year? It's pretty incredible.
I haven't seen, has Rom played in a month? I don't know. But download the DraftKings app, promo code HAM, do it right now.
Oh, yeah, the Haberman Middlekauff League. It's about to get real. John, let's also tell the people about our friends at Upstart. Upstart.com/ham. Upstart.com/ham. You can lower your monthly payments today if you're carrying a credit card balance month after month. It can feel like a never-ending cycle of debt. Upstart can help make that final payment so you can get ahead.
Listen, I've been there. I'm sure many people have been there as well. You don't know what to do. You're like, do I text my brother Jeff? Do I text Guy? I'm like, Guy, can I get a loan? And like, you kind of feel bad. Debt can feel crippling. Yeah, listen, it can. It can feel overwhelming. That's where Upstart comes in. And Upstart knows that you're more than just your credit score. And it's expanding access to affordable credit. So if you got a lot of credit card debt and you need a little loan, unlike other lenders, Upstart considers your income and current employment to find you a smarter rate. Get you the lowest rate possible, and they offer Guy up to $50K. $50K. You're looking at a huge lump sum of money that you owe. You're like, what am I going to do? That's where you go to upstart.com/ham.
Upstart.com/ham. 5-minute online rate check. You can see upfront loans for between $1,000 and $50,000. And you can receive funds as fast as 1 business day after accepting your loan. Find out how Upstart can lower your monthly payments today. Go to upstart.com/ham. Loan amounts will be determined based on your credit, income, and certain other information provided in your loan application. Don't forget to let them know we sent you by going to upstart.com/ham. That's upstart.com/ham. Cheers.
Ham.
All right. By the way, what Andy Reid said tonight, Saturday night, all the starters were going to play. If every team played the preseason like the Chiefs, I think I'd watch a lot more football in the preseason.
I'm with you.
Chris Jones is making plays in like the 5th series.
Making plays. Tossed Brunskill back into like 7 other people and then destroyed Trey Lance.
I think the Niners would be happy to never see Chris Jones again.
I'm with you. I saw Jeff Schwartz tweet this, and I think this is a weird time for the league. That the last 3 Super Bowl winning coaches played all their starters in the game. Now, I'd have to go see how long Arians kept him in. Watching some of the Patriots game, Belichick kept him in for a couple series. Now, some of the guys, right, missed last year, so there are variables. Like the Bucks, to me, like playing Tom Brady is not nothing. The last three guys, and what do all three of those guys have in common? They're old, right? I mean, I get some occasionally a picture of Arians from like 1981, and he'll just be wearing like a Mississippi State polo, coaching quarterbacks, right? Belichick got into the NFL in the mid-70s. Andy Reid started coaching in like the mid-80s. So they were all at minimum a part of the league, definitely Arians and Andy, by the 90s. And the mid-90s is, even though it doesn't feel that long ago, it's like our youth. From NFL standards, wouldn't you call it like a completely different sport? You know?
Yeah, I mean, yes.
So I
it's
would
closer
imagine
to MMA than it was football.
Yeah, I would imagine if we looked at box scores from preseason games in like 1993, non-injured players, wouldn't you imagine most starters played in preseason games? You know, at least a couple series?
Absolutely.
So that's just the way they've done it. Now, I saw Aaron Nagler tweet it, and he was clearly being sarcastic.
Let me see if I can find this.
He just tweeted, I guess it was just a factual tweet. Like, here are the Packers that are not playing tonight. I swear to God, guy, it looked like their entire roster. It was definitely like they're too deep.
I thought it was like their game sheet of players.
It was the guys that did not play in the game tonight. We know I didn't even see the start of the Rams game, but you know for a fact McVay hasn't played guys in years. Obviously LaFleur. I think Kyle deep down wants to be like Belichick and Arians and Andy in terms of playing guys. It'd be really hard, though, right, if a card had to come out for one of his major players in a preseason game, given their history.
And I would say his major players, Trent Williams, don't need it. Kittle, don't. There's no question that Kittle's already, if you watch practice, you know he's up to speed.
Bosa, you can't risk it coming off an injury.
Yeah, you could. Bosa's not even ready for it, probably. You know, he did play Debo and Ayuk. He did play those two guys.
Juszczyk, no. Armstead didn't play. What about
Kinlaw?
Listen, to me, Kinlaw should play in the game. Honestly, Jalen Hurts should play in the game too. Like I would play those guys in the game. I tend to lean.
I think Jalen Hurts was more like I don't think they. I mean, he just missed a practice last week.
But then we went to practice and he was back.
I know. I don't think they're ready. I don't think they don't think he's physically ready to play, as opposed to their protect. I mean, I guess it's the same thing. Protecting.
Well, what's Kinlaw's deal? Because you could say, well, he was banged up early in camp, but he's been playing in every practice we go.
He wasn't banged up. He just had his knee swell on the plane.
But that was at the beginning of camp. Yeah. He's been practicing ever since.
That's what I'm saying. He wasn't him.
So, yeah, I tend to lean though with the McVay than Andy. And listen, obviously Andy and those guys have had more success than the others. I just don't think you can risk it. I cringe at the thought of a cart coming out.
I know.
For a player that matters. I mean, honestly, I cringe. Even if a guy is going to get cut, can you imagine how shitty it is if you're a fringe player, or even like a fringe practice squad player? Maybe you're just not even going to be in the NFL for the rest of your life, and your leg gets shattered. I get it's an incredible opportunity to play, but it's like
you do get an injury settlement then, right? If you're
going to
get cut anyway.
I'm
not trying to be funny.
Much.
I mean,
they just cover it. I mean, that sucks. You got to like sell insurance with a thing around your leg, you know?
You get the injury settlement.
Then I don't think the injury settlement's much. They don't give you like $400,000.
I thought you got a lot of money for an injury settlement.
You don't. Older guy, if you're an older player in the league, I'm talking like a rookie undrafted free agent who gets snapped. He ain't getting much money.
No, you're right.
And then they'll fight you for your insurance.
Right,
you know.
Right.
So I lean like I kind of liked what Kyle did. Now I get why Andy does it.
You like what Kyle did, but Kyle mixed it up. Like Kyle did play Ayuk and like.
But I mean, he easily to me keep all the star guys out. Ayuk and Debo, whatever. I mean, they're receivers. I mean, Kelsey's in there.
I know, but Ayuk and Debo, they are their only receivers.
Yeah, you could argue that Kyle didn't even go far enough.
That's what I'm saying. I don't think he went all in on it. He played a starting quarterback. He
but
did
that's
play a starting quarterback.
That's my
point. He played most of
his
line.
I think he's stuck in the middle. I think he wants to. I think if God could come down and say, Kyle, no one's gonna get injured in this game, he would have started everyone he could have, Bosa non, and just played Andy straight up. And they're like, hey, you just want to play quarter?
I wonder. Here's the other thing: if he were in, if he had, I guess if you had Stafford, it'd be weird. But if your thing was like, hey, I don't play my starter, that means that Trey Lance just starts all your preseason games. It'd be kind of a weird dynamic, right?
Jordan Love, I think, I saw 12 of 15 or something.
I look up. I had the game streaming on Game Pass for a few minutes, and I look up, and he's like, the Packers are celebrating in the end zone. I'm like, oh, let's see this play. And it's basically look, sidearm dump off, touchdown run. I was like, okay.
Oh, so he threw, I saw 1 touchdown, 1 pick.
The touchdown was a catch and run.
Okay, I saw Nagler say, the offense looks pretty shitty. Guy, they lost 20. Again, the scores do not matter in these games. 26-7 to the Texans.
How about the
Davis Mills 11-12?
Okay,
11-20, 11-22. Excuse me.
Oh, big difference
with a pick.
Yikes! I mean, they got Tyrod, and they got who else? They got another quarterback on their roster.
Jeff Driscoll, and Deshaun, and Tyrod, and Davis Mills. Their team stinks. They're going to be bad.
Yeah. How about the moment in the Raider game that I tweeted about tonight? Did you catch that? So
were you watching the Raider game?
Oh yeah, I had the Raider game on TV2, and I just look up and I see Nathan Peterman like 4th and 1, and he's doing the quiet the crowd thing. The Angels in the outfield.
He started, right? Derek didn't even.
Yeah, he started. And I'm like, oh, what is this? So then I rewind it, turn the volume on, and sure enough, there's a ton of crowd noise. And I just posted, not ideal to be quieting your crowd down 4th and 1.
Little troll job, but it was a fact. I mean, it happened.
And then I immediately texted Middlekauff, and I said, look at my last tweet. Knowing he could do the dirty work for me. And it's now they're playing the Seahawks in the preseason. Somebody tweeted at me. I had a few people being reasonable. They're like, hey, man, fans are just happy to be there. Like, give them a break. They're just happy the team's about to score. Somebody else was like, there's not that many Seahawks fans there. That's the point of that tweet, right? Are these other non-Raiders fans? If it's Raiders fans just making noise, doesn't matter. That probably won't actually happen once the season starts. My tweet was not Raiders fans don't know football. My tweet was, are these people who are not rooting for the Raiders in the stadium right now? Yeah, now, unlikely a bunch of Seahawks fans made the trip, but maybe they did. It's Vegas. I don't know. There's something to watch for, as our friend John Dickinson likes to say. Just file that one away for later.
Yeah, I think it's a fair thing. Just the notion that the people that for multiple decades went to the Coliseum, say what you want, it was a dump. They were an educated group. They'd seen a lot, right? They'd seen a lot more shitty than they had good. It could be something. Because I think, and you and I talked about this when the ideas were first coming about them going there, it's clear who's going to be there a lot. It's going to be away fans, and it's going to be a corporate crowd. How would it not? The casino owns the stadium. The amount of access they have to all these tickets, and then the amount that people are going to be willing to pay to watch whatever team's coming in, right? Like you said, in a regular season game, if I'm a Bronco fan, if I'm a Chiefs fan, if I'm a whoever fan, if I'm a Ravens fan that lives out in the West Coast, shit, I'll pay $800, whatever. It's just a trip. It's like especially after Corona, I haven't done shit in 2 years. That is something
and
to
people like
to
seeing
watch
new stadiums too, right? That's the other thing. Cool new.
Did you see the clip of Mark Davis at the front, like? Like Federer when he won Wimbledon, you go out to the front and you hold the trophy up, and they had a moment like that at the stadium before everyone came in. He went out to the front of the stadium. They have like some sort of ledge for him to stand off, looked like a balcony, and he was just standing there and just a ton of people and just clapping and everyone was cheering. I just saw a picture. It looked pretty cool.
No, he took his mom out to the front of the stadium just to welcome people. Oh yeah, you're right. He might as well have just done that is cool. He grabs the mic or something. Yeah, I mean, I went to the stadium last year for a game. It's for a college game. It's awesome. It's awesome. It's just something to be aware of. By the way, as an aside, Mariota has a sore leg.
Oh, I didn't even think about that. He's hurt?
My first thought was, are they like protecting Mariota in case they need to trade him? In case they can't trade him?
Like baseball style?
Yeah, like holding out your starter.
He's definitely way more tradable now at $3 million than he would have been at $8 million, right?
Yeah, but now with a sore leg, he's not. JB on YouTube says Leatherwood hot and cold had moments tonight. I did see people tweeting about Nate Hobbs.
Not quite sure who that is, but I also saw a lot of people tweeting about it as well.
Had a sack.
I did see the Raiders did something cool about like
fifth rounder out of Illinois. Sorry,
about some sort of they had one of those. It happens a lot in college, like a really powerful moment, and the team puts it out. It doesn't happen as much in the NFL. I think with Crosby and him being sober now for a while.
Darren Waller. Or Max Crosby.
But I think it was Max Crosby, just sober, like legitimately hasn't drank for a while.
Oh, I thought that was Darren Waller. You talking about a post?
Was it
social post?
I assumed it was Crosby.
Was it the Raiders post?
Yeah. Was it Waller?
I thought it was Waller. I thought Waller. I'm pretty sure I saw Waller tweet something because I clicked on it because I'm like, the Twitter handle doesn't say, it's not clear who the person is from the handle. At least it wasn't to me. I thought that's what it was.
Okay, maybe what I saw then was it got retweeted in my timeline. It was Max Crosby quoting it like 4 months or 6 months or whatever sober. Like he was proud to be a part of the deal.
Gotcha.
I think what Saban is doing right now, every day they have a different person speaking, right? It was Ernie about his son. They just had a Marine that had his arm blown off speak. It was just the list of speakers that Nick has speak to the team. If you just took good notes as a player on Alabama, the powerful messages it's pretty mind-blowing. Like when I was at Fresno State, we had Jerry Dyer,
police chief, the police chief,
and like Jim Otto, the Raider center.
Yeah.
I mean, he's a badass, all-time legend. I mean, he had a couple, but the access these guys have to pay these people, I don't know. Does Nick pay everyone to speak? I don't know exactly how that works.
I mean,
but it might depend.
I would think generally you get paid. Some people get paid, like Ryan Leaf goes. I just know he's always talking to teams, and that's something that you make a living that way. Ernie,
I can see probably pay a flight out there.
Yeah, you take care of them, but I wouldn't shock me. Like I bet they pay these people. Like it's just the high level thing to do is to pay you for your time.
Does it not feel really high level when you ever see the clips of these guys doing it? Maybe it happens now at all these Power 5 schools.
I think it happens. I think a lot of schools do it.
Did he set the tone for that, you feel, the last decade?
That's a good question. I don't know. Theirs definitely are very public. They post them, so maybe that helps. But I do think a lot of teams do it.
Yeah.
I think a lot of teams do it.
Smart thing to do. I mean, why wouldn't you have people speak to your team?
And you post it, and it's part of how you try and separate now, right? You got all these different ways you're trying to get athletes to say, this is the place I want to be. So, before
I forward you the thing. Leaf was at Ole Miss, so it's clearly Lane's doing it.
Yeah, he goes to Lane. He goes to Saban. I think he went to UW the other day to talk to Jimmy Lake's team. Coaches love him. A lot of coaches bring him in. He did a thing with in West Virginia a few weeks ago at a golf tournament. Speaking, so because West Virginia has a major opioid issue. So he went. I think that's why they did the event there. So
at the West Virginia, like the University of West Virginia, or just like the state.
Yeah,
gotcha.
John, before we go any further, let's tell everybody about RexMD.com/ham. RexMD.com/ham. Should Viagra really cost $90? RexMD says no. RexMD.com, John. FDA-approved generic Viagra, starting at $2 per tablet.
Well, you know this guy. Starter packs are currently available for new customers. I got a delivery. You got a delivery.
Did I?
Out of the blue, you did. And we opened it up. I didn't know what was in there. And I opened it up, and it's RexMD. And I just smiled. And then I opened it up. It was a bottle with 2 pills. Generic Viagra. Exactly what you got. There's no copay. There's no doctor office visits. Your shipping is always free. I have not tried mine yet. How about you?
No, right now I'm using TITO'S right now to start, John.
Okay. And if you're looking for generic Viagra, RexMD has made the process fast, easy, and affordable. Fast, easy, and guy, they send it to you. You could not tell until you open the box. So I know people get very, I don't know if insecure is the right word, but just uneasy. You just, it's
privacy. You want your privacy.
Yeah, you want your privacy, and they value your privacy. So don't wait another minute. RexMD is now offering starter packs of generic Viagra for new customers. Visit rexmd.com/ham right now to get started. That's Rex, REXMD.com/ham.
rexmd.com/ham. Eric says, can we talk about something relevant? Like, how about the game that just happened? Yeah, man, we've been on for like an hour. Where you been? We're talking about the game that just happened. So
I just looked up the television.
Yeah.
22 seconds left. Rosen is still in. I wonder if Kyle's doing him solid because Sudfeld has played a lot in his career, right? There's a lot of tape. I wonder if he's just trying to help him out, like just get him a bunch of tape, or do you think he's just playing his third string guy? Because I feel like it doesn't even matter.
Well, first of all, are they going to carry 3 quarterbacks?
No. Do you think they are?
I don't. I think if they were to carry 3 quarterbacks, I think Sudfeld would be their third quarterback just based on watching practice.
Well, if like Mullins got cut, I wouldn't be shocked if they brought a guy like that back.
Oh, Eric,
right?
Eric, sorry. Eric was talking about the comments, not about us. My bad, Eric. Heroin.
He hasn't had his Viagra yet.
Yeah, sorry. I just got amped up. Sorry, what did you just say about the quarterback?
Do you think if like Mullins were to get cut, wouldn't they rather have Mullins than either one of these guys? Kyle. Obviously, maybe some of the other coaches might not, but Kyle's not. Kyle would not roll with either one of these two guys. They're too slow. You see how slow-footed they are?
Yeah. Somebody DM'd me last night and said all it said was go look at Nick Mullins' line. I think what was it? Like I haven't looked. Was it like 11 or 22?
What team does he play? Oh,
Eagles.
Is he on the Eagles?
He's on the Eagles.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, he's on the Eagles.
I did not. What was his line?
I think it was 11 to 22, but Bears signed Jason Peters. Let's check this line here. Mullins, 40. Not 11 to 22. 1 of 5. 2 picks.
1 of 5.
1 of 5, 2 picks.
Garbage time. Steelers. Steelers. Tough opponent.
Wow.
Good backups. Good, probably playing third strings.
I mean,
breaking news.
Yeah.
The 49ers are making a key addition. Rap sheet. It's fucking August 14th. They're signing linebacker Michael Kendricks. Cal Bear, who, remember, had the little insider trading, which, when you heard him talk, guy at a club told him about it, he did it, and he made some money and sold it. I know it's illegal, but it's not as crazy as I think it sounds, the headline. But it's kind of crazy this guy's still around.
Started 14 games in 19, tore his ACL against the Niners.
What team was he on then?
Seahawks.
So, yeah, remember he got in trouble. I think the Eagles let him go when he got in trouble, and then Seattle signed him after he'd gotten in trouble. It's weird, it's white-collar crime, and I'm anti-white-collar criminals when they impact, but was it a victimless crime?
Also, how do you get caught when somebody told you the club? It's loud in the club. Was the guy mic'd up?
Well, yeah, the guy I think
flipped on him.
Yeah, he got in a little trouble.
Yeah,
and he crumbled like a cookie.
Yeah.
When the lights were on, he's out of water, and they say, "You want to smoke?" And he takes a cigarette and he sits back, and he's got one arm. That's how it looks in the movies. I hope it's that way in real life.
What's the
it could be completely different in real life. Like, is there a chance that it looks nothing like that in real life?
What do you
when
mean?
You're getting questioned? When you're getting questioned in the room,
and they bring you like a little thing of coffee.
Yeah, and maybe one arm's handcuffed, and you're sitting there on that one hard table. And they're you cut the the camera.
Did you read the book Black Edge?
Maybe it sounds familiar.
It's basically the book about the Mets owner, and it's basically the plot of Billions.
Yeah.
And one thing that one of the federal investigators, Steve Cohen,
he got away with like 18 million crimes. I don't know how he did it.
One of the things they say in the book is like one of the FBI investigators says nobody flips like Wall Street criminals. Like they will flip on everybody so fast. He's like, you do it with the mafia, nobody talks. You do it with gangs, nobody talks. You deal with white collar Wall Street criminals, they all flip so fast. There is no loyalty.
Well, it's because they're not really criminals. I think in their mind, they don't view themselves as like I think they view they're breaking arbitrary,
That's right.
rules.
Yeah,
I think in the mafia they know,
Sure.
like when you bury a fucking guy alive out in the desert, like you're doing something wrong. I think if you just go, well,
I actually heard. I was listening to Garth channel today, and there was a song, older country song, female singer. I don't remember who or what the song, but there was a line that says, "It's not murder if I bury you alive." I'm like, that's a good line.
not bad at all. But back to that Black Edge.
Yeah.
He avoided time constantly. Like they were legitimately like that book. When you watch Billions, you're like, God, this guy is just breaking rules and getting away with it. If that book is correct, and I know people back when they DM'd me about it years ago when I got it, he was legitimately Axe, like doing all that same shit. Like they had people on the inside of all these companies.
I think Axe is based on that book, Black Edge, or at least.
So this guy just walks around like, I broke all the rules to make all these billions. Like clearly he was good at his job, but
was very good at understanding the laws,
like separating himself from it always.
Yeah.
He's a little fatter than Axe and uglier.
Does not quite look like Axe. But, yeah. Other NFL headlines, John. How about this clip? Here is PFF tweeted. Oh, actually, you know what? Let me share this with you so we can all watch this together. Let me share the screen with Middlekauff. If those of you who are listening to this on the podcast, maybe you've seen the clip. PFF tweeted this on Saturday evening. If you want to find it that way, or go to the 1 hour 11 minute mark of the YouTube, and you can see. Here we go, John. Here we go. Tim Tebow, tight end, Jags, tight end. Let's watch this tape.
Now, you can say everyone's ripping him. I'd say most people, while they might not be tweeting it, are thinking to themselves, "He's a pussy." He did his job. It's not a violent collision. It's not something that's, I think you would show a teach tape to young tight ends. But did he not wall off the edge and his guy gain yards?
Yeah. I mean, wall is probably not the word I'd use, but I would say 59 here is just inside anyway.
59 is not exactly Mr. Physical, right?
No.
Look at that.
He didn't want none.
I think he's an easy mark, and I think everyone's
there's no
looking
question
for him to do stuff like this.
You're right.
In fairness to Tim Tebow, are you signing him as a tight end to block? Now, you could argue it's part of the position, but that's pretty bad. People are going to make fun of him. And I would imagine if you just searched the quoted tweets, a lot of like the recently retired players, like the Ocho Cinco era, there's like the Willie McGinnis types, just that kind of like late 90s, 2000s that are active on like social media, they're going to jump on that.
Well,
because it pisses them off, right? They were the loudest guys about him.
Yeah.
Because my take was, guys, who cares? I mean, it's just, you see so many guys get opportunities, like River Craycraft, for example. We often talk about in practice. There's a decent chance Kyle's Kyle's favorite player on the team. Not that he actually thinks he's good, but like he just wants him to be good so bad.
Kyle's favorite player on the team.
But but that guy exists on a lot of teams. When I was with Andy, it was Chad Hall, who had this, and people had this infatuation. Harbaugh did too. Maybe it was because he was an Air Force guy. I don't know. But there was always players like that, and no one really says anything besides like the fan base, like why this guy's play so much. But in training camp, who cares? Like he's there in training. When do you think that happened? But clearly people just hate the guy. Maybe I just went against the grain. Like I just don't hate Tim Tebow like other people hate him. And I think his time in Jacksonville is so irrelevant. Now, I agree. If he makes the team, then that's a legit story and something to be critical of. Which,
or is it a story that you go, oh my God, like he made the team?
Yeah, but to me, if he made the team, I feel like they would get ripped. Don't you think?
I mean, is he good? Does he turn out to actually be a solid tight end? And that clip is not representative of his skills?
That's possible. I would say that clip is pretty representative of his kind of blocking. How many quarterbacks, in fairness to him, would be like great blockers, right? Even mobile ones, like would Trey Lance, like who would be able to block? Blocking suck. I mean, you're in the trenches. You guys are big. You're like,
Logan Thomas, who like led the Washington football team in catches last year.
Yeah, but I would imagine if we broke down
something.
Logan Thomas's blocking, it's not that great. Like Jimmy Graham's
But that's the point. It's
notoriously
like,
bad blocker.
You don't have to be a great blocker. What if you can catch some balls?
Well, that would be my point. Defending Tim Tebow, like who's asking him to clear out on a comeback sweep or whatever they're asking him to do? Like that's unfair.
Can we talk about team broadcast? Speaking of the Jags, can we talk about team broadcast?
Oh my God, I love them. Yeah,
I love a team broadcast because it's like, who's calling this game? Sometimes you get the radio crew like Greg Papa, Tim Ryan. That's not normal though. I think it's very good. I think it's great that it. But often, historically, it's always been like your local news anchor, or not always, but you've gotten a lot of that over the years because the local TV is the one that carries the game, so they're number one guy, face of the network, big sports personality in town. But the Jags,
I think the radio crew on TV is pretty abnormal now.
Yeah, it does not feel normal. I don't know who else do the Patriots do that? Is there Patriots broadcast?
Yeah, because what's his name? What's the
Zolak?
former quarterback? Yeah.
What about the?
I don't know if
the
the
Eagles?
play-by-play guy is. But,
I don't think so.
it was Ross Tucker and someone else. Yeah,
So no.
Burmeister. No, it was not. No.
A lot. You get a lot of that. Like NFL Network puts its people out, or Fox puts its people. Like the Bears was Adam Amin, and Rams has been Siciliano.
Or they
Bucky
hire
Brooks.
like Adam's a Chicago guy, so it makes sense. Ross Tucker's a Philly guy.
No, it does
like,
make sense.
hire
I'm just
kinda
saying you
local.
get a lot of like your Fox NFL. I remember Dick Stockton maybe used to do the Bears. Like you would get. It's like they're kind of warm ups too.
You know who Ross Tucker took over for with the Eagles was Mike Mayock. You know, I mean, it's just like you're saying. You know,
Did I
the
see
NFL
Baldy
Network,
doing
the
a
Fox
game
guys.
No, I didn't.
Yeah, I think I'm pretty sure Baldy has before done games for people.
I thought so too.
I do think
It would've been Philly.
the Cardinals do. It's Cardinals is passion. What's his name?
Oh, that makes sense. Wolfley, Ron Wolfley.
Wolfley. Yeah, he had a good one.
Makes
The
sense
guy
for
tried to
passion.
jump.
Today?
Yeah. I think they played the Cowboys last night.
How about Shad Khan showing up in like a 3-piece, double-breasted white suit tonight for the telecast?
I texted
That
you.
stat,
Do you know
you have to share this stat.
they have drafted in the top 5 8 of the last 9 years. And I was thinking that stat's crazy. The best player on their team potentially is like the number 1 pick, right? I mean, the only time they didn't was the one year they made the run. For like 7 straight years, and I think 5 of them were Gus, they drafted every year in the top 5. Remember there was a stat like a year ago that run of top 5 picks, Jalen Ramsey, Leonard Fournette, none of those guys were on the Blake Bortles. They were all off the team, right? They had traded or cut them all. It's nuts. It is so difficult to be that shitty. And I had tweeted out just kind of making fun of it. And I'm not even just picking on the Jags, but I think every broadcast, I mean, Papa and Tim, they're all like this. It is just such a blowjob for whoever walks in, whether it's the GM or the owner. It's like, holy shit, are you guys the best football operation in the history of football? And the owner's like, yeah, we're just all about family and doing it right. It's like, you guys have drafted in the top 3 the last 4 years. What are you talking about? But whether you're watching the Niners or whether you're watching Shad Khan, it has a very similar vibe because it's so much different than the product that we see during the season, right? That is what separates football. The broadcasts on television are 100% national. It has even in the NBA and baseball, you don't have to do it that aggressively because you have so long, right? But they go all in on now that they only got 3 of these things. The owner spoke.
It feels like
John Lynch came to speak.
Feels like the number 1 theme on broadcast, including NFL Network, is like, hey, everybody, buy some tickets. It's going to be a good year. Like, that's the number 1 theme. It's like, this is a great year to come out, which I understand. It's a big part of their business.
In fair, I'm not even blaming them.
You got you got the Niner channel on?
No, I turned the Giants game on. Is he at the game?
Lo Neal's on TV right now. Our boy.
Yeah, Lo Neal. He DM'd me the other night, like 2 weeks ago maybe, and it just said call me. It just had a 559 number. Within 5 minutes, I call him, nothing. I text him and just nothing. He just ghosted me. It's like, bro, you said call me out of respect. Most people, I don't even think I would call, but I like you so much, Lo. I just called you, and then nothing, and then I DM'd, and then nothing back. It's like, what could have happened?
Do you remember Lo Neal's Super Bowl week party in San Francisco?
No, I don't.
Did you come?
I don't think I did. Did you go?
Yeah, I went. It was It was at a nightclub, like not a bar. It was at a nightclub out in North Beach. People that know know the Bay Area on Broadway. A lot of night, like you hit Broadway almost to Battery, folks. There's a couple blocks there where there's just a lot of strip clubs, and some nightclubs. Well, Lowe had Lowe was just an awesome guy. Lorenzo Neal had the velvet ropes out for us, and come hang out, blah blah. And it is so loud in there, and I'm with Alyssa, and Lowe's like, oh, you got to meet my buddy, and he's like, here, LaDainian, this is Guy and Alyssa, and LaDainian's like, oh, hey, nice to meet you. And it was like, what do you say? Like, hey man,
hell of a career,
of a career, yeah. Can't wait to see you in the gold jacket. He was very nice, but it wasn't like there wasn't a bunch of conversation that happened. I was like, all right, thanks for the introduction.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, it was cool.
Was Lights Out Merriman there? What was his crew? Do you remember his crew?
No, it was this crew was like the people you all know.
How dark and just the lights in there? Was it just like clubbed out to the max?
It was clubbed to the max. Yeah.
Walk upstairs, or were you in right when you walked in?
I don't think that part. I don't remember. I think it was pretty much ground level.
Yeah. I'm honestly thinking.
I just remember you're in the VIP and you're like, all the fun's happening over there on the dance floor. Like, why am I sitting over here?
I know San Francisco is a big club kind of area. I don't think I've ever been to a club in San Francisco in my life. Now I'm not a huge club guy, but I'm the least. But I have known some people. I think San Francisco historically, and I think most big cities are. I mean, it's big club life.
Yeah. Also, not my.
It's not big on the Habermans.
Not like you just post me up at a place with some TITO'S and a TV.
No.
And
I did feel, I just saw the comment that you placed. There is something special about the air. There's like a happiness. I was going to Safeway earlier this week, and I had a buddy that he worked Niners camp for a couple years, and he worked for Herm, I think his first year there, and now he's doing something else. And he had sent me like some Arizona State swag a couple years ago, and I wear the pullover a lot. It's just an easy pullover. It's really light, and I can wear it to do like it's nice. So I could wear it to do anything, like work out or like go meet someone. And I was I was at Safeway coming out to put the groceries in my car, and this guy comes walking out carrying like probably a kid under 3 or 4 on his arm, and he just looks at me like, "Can't wait, 3 weeks away." And it was one of those I'd forgot what I was wearing. I didn't even know what he was saying, and then I looked down. He's like, "Forks up" or whatever. And this guy was fired up, and he didn't know who I was.
He just saw
so
you.
It wasn't. Yeah, he just saw me wearing it, and I've had that happen a couple times. That I've just seen people wearing a Raider or Niner shirt, like going on walks or at the gym, and I'll be like, "Yeah, can't wait for the season," and then they'll just start talking to you. Like it's really in the air.
Yeah.
You can feel it, and I noticed it this weekend. Just these games on, as shitty as they turn into pretty quickly, it's just cool to see the coaches back on the sideline. And just the one thing the local broadcasts do a good job of is like the Bears today, and the Falcons did this. Every like 5 minutes, the game was so terrible. It's like Calvin Ridley will just be talking to the sideline reporter.
Yeah, I saw the Giants were talking to Saquon.
Yeah, so if you're going to put your shitty guys in, minimum 3 of your star players are talking for 5 minutes during the game.
Yeah.
Kind of over the action on the sideline, talking about their summer. And you're just like, oh, God, they're kind of ready to go.
Yeah.
Calvin Ridley, sneaky, did not know this, almost 1,400 yards and 9 touchdowns last year. I was like, damn, he's a little... And then they go back to the broadcast and they're like, someone told him, a defensive coordinator said when they played the Falcons, this is one of those classic, like whenever you trade a player, and this is the hometown broadcast, it's like, listen, we all know Julio's one of the greatest Falcons of all time, but I had a defensive coordinator tell me that when they played the Falcons last year, the game plan was to stop Ridley, not Jones. It's just like, then I start thinking, like, is that really true, or is that just what you're pushing? Like, I don't think you would hear that if like Aikman and Buck are calling the game. So you kind of got to take it with a grain of salt. It's like, yeah, is that true? Then you saw his numbers. You're like, maybe it is. I mean, he did catch 90 balls and 9 touchdowns. Like, he's good.
I mean, Julio was
first
hurt,
rounder,
right?
Yeah, but they talked about a game that they were both in.
But Julio was not 100%.
But I think Julio was still productive. Yeah,
he had like a hamstring or a quad.
Yeah, so he couldn't run as fast.
By the way, I don't think this person will mind. me reading a DM because this is from the Trinity 31. Did you get the same DM?
I did. Read it.
This guy, we love hearing stuff like this. He says, you guys got some reach. I live in West Covina, a suburb of L.A. County. I went to Vaughn's grocery store to buy a bottle of Tito's. And when I was checking out, the bag dude said, man, this Tito's brand is popular. It's the talk of the town. I told him that I was trying it because of a podcast I listened to, and he said the podcast he listens to also talks about Tito's. I said, wouldn't happen to be Ham in show tone voice, Ham Pod. And he said, yep, it was. Then we started chopping it. He had a Niner mask. I had a Raider shirt. And he said, you're not a Niner fan. Why do you listen to them? And I said, the show's so badass that they can make me listen to them when they talk Niners or golf and shit on the Raiders. The cashier and my wife were laughing because they thought it was funny that we bonded over the pod. Keep up the good work. To you and John, fist pounds. The Trinity 31. Don't know your real name. You know we always love a real name on the internet, but thank you for the love and thank you for... Oh, it's Charles Bronson. Charles, appreciate you sending that story. We love hearing that. That's cool.
That is pretty cool. It's exciting when you read stuff like that. I think I DM'd him back. It made my day.
It did. It made my day, too. Final score of the Jets-Giants game, John, was 12-7. Zach Wilson was 6 of 9. Do you know who led? I'm just going to play a little game here, okay? I'm just going to rattle through some scores, and you tell me true or false the name I name was the leading passer for this particular team, okay?
Okay. The
leading passer for the Jets in terms of completions was James Morgan.
What team he played for? Never heard of the guy. I have no clue. I mean, you could be making that name up. So I'll go yes because it's the Jets.
Sorry, that's false. It was not the leading. It was not the guy from Florida International, nor was it Jordan Morgan from Kutztown. It was Mike White was the leading passer. All four of those people I just named played in the game for the Jets and threw multiple passes. The Jets actually threw 46 passes. The Jets somehow 46 passes, 12 points.
Are you telling me the Jets' 4 quarterbacks are Wilson and those 3 guys?
Mike White, James Morgan, and Jordan Morgan.
Yeah. Do you think you can go into a season with those three guys behind Zach Wilson?
Not if you have any intention of ever winning.
How would they not have signed a McCown, a Fitzpatrick? Wouldn't you have done that?
Chase Daniel, one of those types.
Case Keenum, CJ Beathard. I don't know, just a guy that's played in the NFL. Is that honestly, a little malpractice?
I thought there might have been a misprint here, and James Morgan and Jordan Morgan were the same person. But nope, James Morgan was their 4th-round pick this year out of Florida International. Jordan Morgan was a 5th-round pick in 2017, again out of Kutztown or Kutztown. I'm not sure what that is, but
wait, they took multiple quarterbacks.
They took a 4th-rounder this year. Yeah,
the Jets.
The Jets.
That seems a little nuts to me, guy. And listen, I don't know Joe Douglas personally, but people like him. I didn't quite realize that they don't have an older guy around him. I think that is just very malpractice for young players. I really do. I think there's a value to having Andre Iguodala around Jonathan Kuminga for a year. Like, you can't tell me that the Warriors signed Andre Iguodala. They would not have re-signed him if they hadn't drafted basically a guy that ultimately is going to be a similar, small forward. I don't know. They're not going to play the same, but just there's a value to that, right? There is. Say one thing about Trey Lance. He gets to talk to Jimmy Garoppolo every day. Say one thing about, Justin Fields. He gets to be around Andy Dalton and Foles during camp, but definitely Andy Dalton, who's just played in the league for a decade. You can just be nice to the guy. You can just, hey, man.
The Chase Daniel one is the one.
This shit's hard.
Yep. Leading passer today for the Tennessee Titans was Logan Woodside, 7th rounder in 2018 out of Toledo.
Did Tannehill even start?
Tannehill did not play. Do you know the other quarterback that played for the Titans today? Saturday.
Last name start with a W?
Does not. Last name starts with a Barkley.
I watched a couple. He actually made a couple nice throws. I swear to God, I watched yesterday, just like the 4th quarter, some garbage time of the Titans after a couple of TITO'S and LaCroix.
Yeah.
He's not as bad as I once thought he would be.
Cardinals quarterback today, Colt McCoy, but he didn't throw the most passes today. The leading passer for the Cardinals today was Chris Streveler out of one of the Dakotas. South, I believe.
There are some quarterbacks in this league that
what is happening right now?
Do you feel like you was out of the loop as me?
Yes. Easton Stick got that. Chargers.
Now you're also in fairness, for most people listening too, you are naming guys from obscure schools, right? You're not
They're
naming
playing in
Oregon
NFL
State.
games.
I know, but it shows you like these aren't Power 5 players. Hell, these aren't even Nevada or Fresno State or Cincinnati players.
Jordan Love threw 17 passes today. 12 passes were thrown by Kurt Benkert. Second year out of Virginia. Kurt Benkert.
If I watch more ACC football, I bet people on the East Coast would know that name. You agree with that?
Do you think he's like the Davis Mills of the ACC? I don't know.
Like, would Mark Packer know who Kurt Benkert is?
Kurt Benkert. There's a T at the end.
Kurt Benkert. That's a tough name to say.
It's a good rhythm to that name.
This is an underrated part. Listen, I'm going to say this in all seriousness because I tweeted this out. I do appreciate this part of it, and when I put it into this context, I looked it up today. If you're on a practice squad for a week, pretty good gig for the week. You get $9,200, and for the year, if you multiply that by 17, it works out to about $150,000. So basically, if you are, I looked up George Kittle. Like his first year in the league was like $750,000. He was a 5th round pick. I think now it's like almost $800,000 for a non-like 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th round pick. If you can make an NFL roster, you make about $800,000. If you go to the practice squad, you make $9,200 a year or $150 or $150K. So there is an $800 or $150K, but the $150K guy, practice squad, you can get cut at any moment, any day.
Yeah.
You are not guaranteed the next. It's a week-by-week deal. It's not like we signed TITO'S for the fall, right? You might not make it to week 3 just because you're on there week 1. If you're on the roster and you're just kind of playing, you got a pretty good shot if they've drafted you right to just last throughout the season.
Yeah.
There is a big difference between $800,000 and potentially like 70, right? Just think how much money if you think like that. And I know these guys are just thinking about like football terms, like how do I make the term? But imagine if you just thought like $100,000 or $800,000, $700,000 difference. That is a lot of money, guy.
Ton of money. Do you know who Ian Book plays for?
The Notre Dame quarterback.
Yep.
Yeah, he was drafted. Ravens?
No, team the Ravens played though, the Saints. Ravens rolled with Trace McSorley and Tyler Huntley on Saturday night.
They drafted Ian Book.
Let me give you one.
Did Jameis play?
I think he did. I
You
mean,
know what
he should have.
sucks?
Yeah, 7 of 12. Taysom was 8 of 12.
I forgot to even use my app. You're smart.
For what?
Well, because I was like flipping the channels. I'm like, well, we don't even get that many games. Like I wanted to watch the Giants Jets. You have to use the app to watch some of the games. It's not like you get it like NFL Network's not going back and forth. There's no red zone channel for all the games.
Right.
Because there was like 7 on at the same time. Like you said, they all started at 4.
The quarterback today that threw the most passes, this will be the last one for the Cincinnati Bengals, is Kyle Shermer.
Pat's
Kid.
son from Vanderbilt?
Correct.
Did he throw the most passes?
He did.
For what team again?
The Bengals. Who also they have Brandon Allen. I got to go back. Jamar Chase had a 16-yard catch, but that was sweet.
I'd imagine Russell Wilson did not start for the Seattle Seahawks. Did you watch the start of that game?
You know, I had the game on. I did not see Russell Wilson. Who did I see is now the question.
Yeah, who did they play?
Oh, Geno maybe?
Well, yeah, Geno's the backup.
Did I see Geno?
You saw Geno because I saw him when I looked up. I saw Geno. Who's their third string guy?
Okay, here we go. Anybody
They
in the
always
chat know
they,
the
al-
Seahawks
they always
third
have a
string
good
quarterback?
they always have a good curveball.
Oh, whoa! So they have Sean Mannion.
Okay.
Nathan Peterman played the whole game, by the way, 29 of 39, 246.
Well, what are the Raiders going to do? They probably got 3 quarterbacks, right?
The guy though that threw the most passes for this, that led the Seahawks in passing today. I'm glad you mentioned this. I'm not familiar with Alex McGough from FIU, 7th round pick in 2018. So he's been around their 7th round pick in 2018.
Lane Kiffin guy. What'd you say Peterman was?
I think 29 of 39 for 246, no touchdowns, a pick, 6 yards
Isn't that
per
a-
completion, 4 sacks, 4 sacks.
A
One
lot
pick.
of dumping the ball. 29-39 is not a bad day at the office, is it?
No.
I wonder if you're right. Mariota's already hurt. So is that the second camp in a row he's got hurt? If it's truly hurt, he kind of gets these weird injuries.
Last year he was hurt. He was hurt from the Titans.
When they
right?
signed him. Yeah, when they signed him.
I don't know what. Oh, Mostert didn't play today, by the way.
Yeah, Mostert.
Magoo. Sark says Magoo is how you say his name.
Sarkisian?
Pronounced Magoo. Alex Magoo. I mean, not only are there guys I haven't heard of, the names are all incredible. And their headshots are all just Madden create a player.
Well, the one thing that you realize when you work in the NFL is you are so much more familiar with random-ass names. And the majority of them don't matter, but where they do is some of these guys will go on to have impacts, and you'll have a baseline for them. Where you and I, once the guy starts making plays, week 4 of a game we're talking about, we'll have to look them up. You just have that knowledge of putting a grade on him as an undrafted free agent, even though you might have hated him, but you just know the guy. Because I texted a buddy the other day. I'm like, hey, man, this Sherfield guy's killing it for the Niners.
Yeah.
From Arizona. He's like, rookie from University of Arizona? Like, he didn't even know. He's like, oh, the special teamer.
He played 32 games the last 2 years.
Yeah, it's just there's just so many names in the National Football League.
Who he play for? That's what we just.
I've always thought the most underrated part about working in the NFL. I could never admit it to anyone, with the Eagles because they probably would have fired me. I remember thinking this is fucking insane. How do you guys remember all these fucking players? Now training camp is dramatically different. Training camp is very overwhelming. There are so many people, and everyone knows. If you've worked in the league for a decade, right? You just can keep track of a lot of random guys. Even if you don't know that much, you just know the name. You're like, oh yeah, the guy from Vanderbilt. That's the swing tackle.
Yeah.
And you're like, what are you guys talking about? And then the quarterbacks come in because the quarterbacks are not just all the backups are from USC, Texas, and Alabama, and Georgia. All the guys you watch on your couch. That is not the way it works, as you just articulated. It is honestly no different with players, right? I've been all the league, a dude from South Dakota, a dude from some school in New York. You're like, where are these guys coming from?
It's a big deal there, though.
It's pretty nuts. It's a huge deal. I mean, I remember at Fresno State when you were an undergrad, your guys got to make it to the league. I remember taking so much pride when we had an undrafted free agent that would just get playing time in the preseason. And obviously he got cut and he didn't even get on a practice squad, but it was so cool to watch him play in games. And I remember the program, it was a bit, I guess Twitter wasn't around then, but it was this guy's on the Raiders. This guy's starting the second half for the Raiders, which you realize as you get older, it's not a good thing.
No, but you still get to see. I mean, it's still an accomplishment.
Yeah,
right?
it's cool.
If we're being serious, if we're being real, most people don't get to do that. So,
because would you admit? I mean, not even admit's the wrong word, but just the summer league, for example, guys that get an opportunity to play in summer league, it is way more valuable as an athlete to get reps in preseason NFL games than it is summer league basketball games.
Yeah, that feels
you're
right.
closer. You're closer to the, the end goal, because you are in camp with these guys, right? With the season literally right around the corner.
Yeah.
The NBA is probably a bad parallel because the preseason doesn't.
You're pretty close if you're in summer league too, though.
Yeah, it kind of does.
John, let's finish with this. Otis says Hufanga, Sherfield, check mark. Richie James, Josh Rosen, X mark. Agree. You think Hufanga's gonna make the team? Talanoa Hufanga, Sherfield. You and I were talking about Sherfield. I mean, everyone. He wasn't a secret. But if you're watching practice the last few weeks, it's clear he's making plays. Plus, can play special teams. He's making the squad. He looks like their fourth receiver. I mean, Juwan Jennings. I feel like somebody last night. Not somebody, somebody's. I don't know what happened. 5 people started commenting on the Juwan Jennings draft video we did a year. I started getting alerts on Friday night that people were watching our Juwan Jennings draft video. So maybe there is some momentum for him.
Yeah, Sherfield's a lock. I think Hufanga has 2 things going for him. One, 8 safeties are on injured reserve or PUP or just gone, and they signed HaHa Clinton Dix. They're kind of desperate. But to me, this is the most important thing. I think the head coach really likes him. He started tonight. Now, part of starting tonight was, the starting defense was on the sideline. But if you are the next guy to come in with everyone sitting on the sideline, that to me shows, one, they think you've played well in training camp. And the quote that Kyle had a couple days ago saying he fits in well here. And clearly, I know Peters loved him. John Lynch liked him. he just is a big hitter. And Kyle, despite being an offensive coach, has this weird infatuation with like crazy defensive crazy guys. Like he likes to run the ball and he likes physical defenses, which like Andy's kind of the opposite. Like he likes, sweet defensive linemen and throwing the ball. Like if I had to describe Andy Reid, I'd say bombs, Chris Jones, Trent Cole, Fletcher Cox, Frank Clark. Like he wants badass D linemen, doesn't care as much about the other stuff, and bombs. When I think Kyle, I think running the ball, and I think he wants a physical defense. And Hufanga is just he is much more made for games, I think, than like practice. But I will be stunned if he doesn't get playing time this year on defense. Now I don't know if it's going to go well, but couldn't you see them just being in a pinch, and he's going to be dressing if he's on special teams, and
then again, like him, let's just see.
Yeah, I just know that when head coaches like someone, that guy's in a good position to survive.
Yeah.
And survive's the wrong word because he's earned it, but get opportunities that when the head coach doesn't like someone, they just, even if they kind of borderline deserve it, they just say, no, let's go with the other guy. We're humans, right? Let's go with that guy. When D'Amico goes, Kyle, what do you think? And he's like, I'd go with Hufanga. He's like, oh, yeah, that's good.
Especially if you think the guy's kind of a gamer. Like, oh, this guy he's a quote-unquote football player. Like, let's just get him on the field and see if he can make some plays, right? If he does things that maybe you think, he's better suited to appear in a game, then part of his deal is he's going to fly around and hit people, and you can't do that in practice.
He was the Pac-12 Defensive Player of the Year in the shortened season last year.
Oh, that sounds right.
So, now, I have noticed him for years at USC. Like, he clearly was one of their more impactful players in the back seven.
Yeah.
I just think the question is, and it's why they moved him, play speed, right? He's not. Can you play in space? Like if you're playing the Chiefs for real, and let's say Hufanga has to start, I'll promise you Andy's going to try to get that guy in space against some of his guys running like 4.340s.
Yeah, I mean, I think he was playing, doing you sometimes a guy turns a corner, looks like he's swimming. Now it was Tyreek he was chasing, but he was like swimming, trying to it's Tyreek.
But like you've said with this division, if he has to start a game and you're playing Seattle, well, DK runs a 3.840. What's the guy's name they also drafted? They have Eskridge.
Oh,
no, Seattle.
Dwayne Eskridge. Yeah.
I don't know what Tyler Lockett runs, but he runs fast. I mean, they would try to get people involved with Hufanga. Obviously, Arizona, I guess Hopkins isn't that fast. Hopkins would actually be a good guy to him to kind of lean to. Just stay on his side. Maybe you could just keep it that speed, not the other side. It's just to me, it's really hard.
Those guys are doing this.
It's really hard when you're just not a fast guy. And I know they like him for the hitting, but I just think you have to cover ground. It's like outfield. Like you just eventually got to get to the ball, right?
Yeah. All right. So this was our Saturday night pod. Are we putting this? Is this audio out first thing Sunday morning?
Yeah, I mean, whenever the producer wants to put it out.
I mean, the producer usually puts it out Monday morning because that's a hot time to put out a podcast. We had not discussed this, so we should.
I'd put it out tomorrow and just let it marinate for a couple days.
Yeah, I like that idea. I like that idea a lot. All right, everybody. Another big week.
You going to the Giants game tomorrow?
I'm going to the Giants game. My parents are in town, so this actually worked out great. See me up in section
319.
319.
Dodgers gained a game.
Good. It'll be, add to the drama. I'll be up in 319 with the people.
Is that where you're sitting?
Yeah, it's like $26 a ticket.
Damn, it's a pretty good price point.
So
we'll enjoy. Get a Ghirardelli Sunday.
You golfing tomorrow, Sunday?
I think I am. Yeah.
All right. Like this video. If you're still here on the video, please give it a like. We appreciate you spending a Saturday night with us. This was fun. Thanks to our friends at TITO'S. Try the transfusion, the drink of the week this week. Grape juice, ginger beer, TITO'S, squirt of lime, and we'll see you on Tuesday. Unless something happens before that.
Let's go one bite. Everyone knows the rules rating. What would you give the transfusion?
Really good.
It's tasty.
I would say, I really liked it. I would say, I did not think ginger beer and grape juice would be great together. The one thing I would probably do if I was making it again is water down the grape juice a little bit. It's grape juice a little sweet for me. Got some grape juice on the keyboard.
I saw when you did your grape juice pour, it was a little strong.
Yeah, maybe that's the move. Not watered down, just a little less grape juice. So I would do that.
I think you put a little too much in.
Light on the grape juice. The ginger beer I got is 0 sugar. But I think you're right. I probably over grape juice. So I'll go a little lighter on the grape juice. It'd been so long since I had grape juice that it's like the first few sips, like, oh my God, this is 1998 all over again. And then you get to the bottom of it, you're like, this is a lot of, this thing is 49 grams of sugar in one bottle. That's a lot of sugar in this little thing. So that's what I would recommend to people. Go lighter on the grape juice, and then I think I did not expect it to taste so good, that combination of flavors.
I'm going to try one of those this week. I'm going to go get some ginger ale or something at the store.
There was one I saw on the TITO'S website. It was like water, like muddled watermelon. I think that's going to be on my list.
That sounds fantastic.
Just watermelon and Tito's. I'm like, yes, please.
I know when I was in college, people would just take, at the time, it was not Tito's. It was like a plastic bottle. You would just make a hole in, and you would cut it up and have watermelon.
Would you put the cut up watermelon back in the vodka?
No, what you would do is you would cut a hole out of the whole watermelon. You would put the bottle of vodka like that. It would soak in there. And then you would cut the watermelon like pieces like you would at a barbecue, and people just eat them a little bit like edibles. You do not know how much is in every bite of – you can taste it, but it's not that extreme. And then all of a sudden there are people like puking in the corner like an hour later. They can be outrageous. That's something 19-year-olds think about. Hell, I mean, you can probably go to a barbecue in like the Bay Area and people are doing that too. So I'm not going to try to discount just the ingenuity of drinkers.
Sorry, I got. You tweet a Raider video about Peterman quiet out of the crowd, and you got to deal with replies for the rest of the night. Find another narrative.
And they are an edgy. Do you think like Yankee fans, Niner fans, Cowboy, just big brands? Maybe it's like that. Like if you got into deep with the Yankees, like said something that's counter, do you think you would get attacked?
No, I don't know.
There is an attack nature with Raider fans. Maybe we're just used to it, but they bite, man. They bite. And they rally together quick too. They like call their buddies. They link them in tweets. Like, look at this clown.
There's so many Raider fans that we have
Jimmy.
Fun with. So I like in a good fun with. By the way, a lot. You asked me this during the game. Where's Elijah Mitchell? Out a few weeks with an abductor strain. Elijah Mitchell. All right.
I don't even think me and you could pull an abductor.
I don't think so either.
Okay, have a good night.
All right, everybody. Thanks for hanging with us.